Yo, how's it going, friends? Welcome. Let's talk today about Stormcall. Stormcall this is the second build uh, I'm running with right now in the Abyss League. The whole Glacial Cascade Miner is over for now, and we moved on. So let's talk about the gear. Stormcall feels pretty good right now with Spell Cascade that allows you to essentially cast 3 times the Storm Call. And yeah, 3 huge circles filling up the entire screen and destroying everything. The damage is surprisingly high. It's also very, very good against the bosses. Not Glacial Cascade Mine, but pretty good. So yeah, let's talk about the gear. We have Impulse's Broken Heart. It's a new chest they added for 3.1 expansion. Bunch of life, increased damage if you've shocked enemies recently, increased effective shock, and yeah, shocked enemies when they die they explode, dealing 10% of their maximum life as damage. Lightning that cannot shock, and you yourself are unaffected by shock. Along with that, um, let's take a look at the links. We have Stormcall, of course, as well as Spell Cascade, the core gems for the build that allows us to have all this beautiful AoE. We have Spell Echo, increased critical strikes, control destruction, less duration support. We have less duration because Stormcall will detonate, short period of time after you cast it. So we have less duration for the more multiplier, of course, but as well the you know reducing that period of time. Um, as well for that, we're using the Stormcall reduced duration helm enchant. That basically does the same thing, just adds to the efficiency of less duration. And yeah, without these two, you can tell like the difference is quite significant. And with them, of course, much quicker detonation, which allows us to deal damage and move on and keep destroying stuff as we go along. When it comes to like priorities, if you don't have 6 link, you can get 5 link without the increased critical strikes. I've been trying to mess around a little bit with single target conk effect, stuff like that, but like I really think that you don't need ink AoE or conk effect swaps for the gems, and this 6 link setup is in fact pretty solid. Yeah, so Spell Cascade, less duration, control destruction, increased crits, and Spell Echo, as well as of course Stormcall in this Impulses. Really nice chest. For the helm we talked about, just get a rare helmet with the best stats that you can have for your build, the resist, the life that you need, as well as of course strength is always good because adds you more life with the helm enchant. Reduced Stormcall duration. Over here, I managed to find a pretty sick shield for this build because it has spell damage cast speed and critical strike chance for spells, as well as a huge life roll and pretty big light res. This shield is kind of perfect for this particular build. These are the kind of stats that you want to have on a shield, but of course if your shield is similar but it doesn't have the cast speed, it's fine. If it doesn't have the spell damage, it's fine. Less crit chance for spells, it's fine. You want to prioritize crit chance for spells because we want to crit. We want to shock enemies so we can get the benefit of impulses and Barracks Grip. Barracks Grip, whenever enemies are shocked, the damage you deal, 1% of that leached as life. Barracks Grip is a nemesis item. So in order to get this, you actually have to either turn in a nemesis Valkyrie divination card set, these rings cannot drop. This is the reason why these rings cost about 1.5 exalts to 2 exalts, maybe 1 exalt if you're really lucky to get one. The damage runs, the flat lightning damage runs between 1 to 50 to 1 to 70. And life rolls, I believe it's 30 to 40. Cold damage, of course, is kind of insignificant, and we get a little bit of light res here as well. Pretty sweet. For the boots, we use increased attack and cast speed if you've killed recently from map clearing on comms routes with as much life as you can get. And for bosses, where did I put this? Well, for bosses we use a different helmet enchant. We use a different boot enchant. Just need to remember where to put it. Awkward. Basically, the one that adds flat lightning damage if you haven't killed recently. Pretty sure I had them here. There we go. So yeah, adds 1 to 160 lightning damage if you haven't killed recently. That's what we use for bosses. We get a consistent increase in DPS as long as bosses don't spawn any minions. You can see it's a substantial damage increase. Average damage tooltip really doesn't tell even half of the story, really. The damage DPS output of this build is quite insane. Everything gets destroyed. So from 14.5 to 16.1. One thing I like about this, yeah, we want the cast and attack speed if you've killed recently for mapping. One thing I like about this build is, well, I like a lot of things about it, but the fact that I don't have to use, we're using the same setup here for shield charge, right? Fortify, shield charge, faster attacks. We use the same setup, but here we don't have to use Brightbeak because, well, if you find yourself a dagger with enough attack speed and you get this enchant, you in fact get a bunch of increased attack speed modifiers that come close to the Brightbeak, so you don't have to use the Brightbeak, and you can run around with your you know, main DPS weapon. You've seen me with, you know, the GC miner would have a Brightbeak and would have a, you know, I had the claw for as a weapon DPS, you know, as for swap for bosses and such. Here you always use the maximum DPS setup constantly, and that's pretty cool. You don't have to mess around and swap. The speed is very good, indeed. Okay, so let's talk about this weapon now. We have 2-3 fire damage, completely irrelevant. Flat cold damage to spells, it's really good, as well as increased attack speed, critical strike chance for spells, global crit multiplier crafted, and gain elemental damage as extra chaos damage, which is a modifier that you can get from Shaper's items to boost your elemental damage, just like the new Shaper Elder items for GC Miner had gain percent of physical as extra lightning as extra cold. Here we have gain elemental as extra chaos, which is a 15% multiplier. Pretty damn sweet. And of course the attack speed here allows me to not swap. So, but again, I mean, these are the priority stats or priority mods for this type of weapon. If you find a scepter, it doesn't have the global crit chance, but it does have 40% elemental damage, for example. Or if you find, you know, something like this, 40% elemental damage with cold for spells, crit for spells, as well as, you know, spell damage and gain physical as extra lightning. Or in this case, we need the gain elemental as extra chaos. You know, if you find a scepter, a dagger, doesn't matter what base it is, as long as it has the stats that we want for the build, it's gonna be good, you know. So really depends on what your budget is and what you can find on POE trade. Alright, moving on. For the ring, we have Essence Swarm with Wrath. Wrath adds flat lightning damage to. Sorry, it gives us a more multiplier for spell lightning damage. That's why we use Wrath in an Essence Swarm. It doesn't take any mana, and it synergizes with the Watcher's Eye that has 1.14 of lightning damage is leached as mana while affected by Wrath. So we use that. We have our mana leech as well as max life, mana, and energy shield over here as well. Immune to ignite while affected by purity of fire. It's irrelevant, you know. Sometimes, if you're lucky enough, you can get potentially, you know, 2 mods that will benefit you from the Watcher's Eye, but just getting the mana leech from lightning damage while affected by Wrath is enough. We still reserve, other than Wrath, we still reserve some of our mana in terms of Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ice. They're linked over here on the gloves, as well as Assassin's Mark, Curse on hit with the Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder for more damage. The gloves themselves are just high life resistances that I needed. Nothing too special about the gloves. Of course, potentially a fingerless, whatever they're called, with the spell damage implicit is going to be better. I don't think I have a pair right now. Don't really see them, but yeah, you guys know the gloves. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but fingerless something. Fingerless sorcerer gloves. Wait, I gotta find this now. It bothers me. Fingerless silk gloves, that's what they're called. Yeah, so these will give you up to, I believe, 16% increased spell damage implicit, so you can buy yourselves a pair of those. They're pure energy shield as well, so it's going to be easier for you to get the 3 3 blue, 1 green, whatever, and you get yourself an increase in spell damage. You can spam chaos on them until you get the stats that you want on these gloves for a little bit extra damage. But yeah, other than that, that's the glove slot, just rare with the resist life that you want. Socketed with Herald of Ice, Herald of Thunder, Assassin's Mark, and Curse on hit. For the belt, just a bunch of life and resist that you need with the socket. On the socket, you could put, well, life damage to spells. I exalted the 9 to 13 fire damage to spells while wielding a two-handed weapon. Unfortunately, I wanted some flat damage to spells or something like that. But the most important mod here, from map clears at least, 20% increased damage if you've killed recently. Pretty sweet increased damage modifier. I believe we went through everything. Oh, Flame Dash, of course. Flame Dash is very, very nice. And Flame Golem, honestly, just because I got the, Flame Golem in the box of Fire and Ice, whatever, mystery box. I got the skin for the Flame Golem, so I just wanted to test it out. Doesn't matter too much whatever you put here. It does give you an increased damage of 20%, you know, so I mean, without it, 500 less DPS. Oh, actually more. Maybe, wait, what was it? 14.5. And here's 15, wait. And here's 16.9. So 1.5k. Not too bad. So yeah, 20% increase. It's pretty much what we're getting when we kill an enemy, and more than twice as much when we shock an enemy with impulses. So a couple of hidden damage modifiers. For amulet, if you can afford one, get yourself a Bisco. It's obviously the best in slot for all builds, for farming maps and all that. But you know, it's a bit pricey. save up for it. It's a very you know, good investment. If you're farming all day, it will pay itself back. Yeah, but if not, there is you know, there are amulets with crit multi, with spell damage, with lightning damage, with elemental damages, extra chaos damage, stuff like that, with life, with hopefully, you know, not resists. You don't want to rely on resistances on your amulet slot, because you never know when you have enough cash to buy yourself a Biscos and then have to remove it and you need to rebalance your entire character. So just like suggestion for the future, always make your always make your you know, always make your amulet slot free stat wise, so you won't have to rely on it. Not attribute points to be able to equip for certain gems, and not resistances, so you could still run whatever it is that you're running in maps without relying on the amulet slot, because Biscos is really that important. Alright, so other than that, I think I talked about the entirety of the gear. 45 shield charge, faster attacks. Over here, we got cast when damage taken setup, level 42 cast when damage taken, whatever. We have Immortal Call, we have increased duration for Immortal Call, and then Warlord's Mark for the curse that allows us to get a little bit of life leech and endurance charges. Now you may ask yourself, hey, this is kind of weird. I mean, sometimes, I mean, I have two curses here, right? Assassin's Mark and Warlord's Mark. At least that's what I was thinking when I first started. But as it turns out, the, you know, you get the bonuses from both, you know, only one at a time. So you get your power charges from, you know, Assassin's Mark, and you get your endurance charges from Warlord's Mark. As long as you keep killing, every once in a while you'll be taking damage. That damage will proc Warlord's Mark's curse, and you'll get your endurance charges. You'll, for the most part, have 3 endurance charges for this build, as well as 3 power charges from Assassin's Mark as well. So pretty good stuff. Yeah, let's talk about flasks. We have here, you know, I always like to have all the suffixes of removal. Since we're using comms roots, temporal chains is not a big problem for us, but we still maybe want some warding to remove the effect of curses that we might have in maps, such as elemental weakness and so on. So this will be up the entire time. I prefer experimenters over ample of warding. Experimenters increases the duration, so we have more duration of the you know, warding removal, so we don't have to have, you know, any type of curse at all. But I just didn't manage to roll experimenters, and I just grabbed the warding in this case. Here we got experimenters of staunching for bleed removal. Aziri's Promise. A couple words about this one. It has 2 mods: gain % of physical as extra chaos, and gain % of elemental as extra chaos. Over here, since we're not Glacial Cascade, we don't deal any kind of physical damage whatsoever. We will only look at the second stat. The second stat runs 10 to 15% of elemental as extra chaos damage, which is basically what we have on our weapon, only on Aziri's Promise. Right? So just make sure that no matter what the first stat rolled, the second one rolled 15 when you're buying for this flask. It's pretty easily achieved. When you search for Aziri's Promise, you can type in this mod and just get 15 in that box over there, and it will show you the cheapest one with 15, or you can just click on this line in POE trade and it will show you the same thing. So just make sure that it's 15 that you're rolling on elemental damage, is extra chaos damage, pretty important. And over here we got Onslaught. Onslaught gives us attack speed, cast speed, move speed, and all that, as well as curing. Experimenters 8-second duration of this. It's only 1 use, but you get to have extra 20 charges to complete to 80 for the second use. very, very quickly, and 8 seconds is in fact a pretty long duration, so you'll have poison immunity as well. So here we have fire immunity for ignite. You know, sometimes you have in maps monster hits always ignite, monsters poison on hit, so all these damage over time effect that would kill us are being removed by the dosing and by the curing. Pretty good, and as well as warding, staunching, standard stuff. Since again we have comms roots, we don't need heat suffix to remove freeze because we can never be frozen. When it comes to leveling and the tree, we start as a Templar. Of course, the ascendancy is Inquisitor. Just a couple words on the ascendancy, the order in which we pick up the nodes. We start off with elemental damage instruments of virtue for the speed, moving on to righteous providence and inevitable judgment as our cruel, and Merklab for Uberlav, Augury of Penitence, I think it's how it's pronounced. That's what we get for the extra damage, as well as all resist on the Templar. Once you get that, things are going to become much, much quicker. You can get Instruments of Virtue around Malachi fight, somewhere in Act 4. That's usually when I do it, or after I killed Malachi, somewhere around there. Templar side of the tree, we grab spell damage, move on to discipline training for a couple of life nodes, and then as we're leveling, we keep going straight up to the life nodes over here. Move on to the witches area, grabbing life nodes, grabbing annihilation. Life nodes over here, go straight up without clicking on any of these nodes. Moving on down here, that's the order of leveling. Rushing Blood Drinker for the life nodes, quickly to acrobatics, dodge nodes, as well as phase acrobatics. Once we have that completed, I think we should be around level 60 plus, I don't know, somewhere around that, probably even earlier, maybe even 50. Yeah, most definitely. So again, life nodes over here, that's the order of how we level up. At least how I leveled up. You can do it in any other way that you find comfortable for you. I just rushed basically phase acrobatics and grabbed a couple of life nodes along the way so I won't die. You know, so that's the way I did it. Discipline training, quick recovery, cluster for life. These two nodes, heart and soul, I left this one for later, and then annihilation, these couple of life nodes going down, some more life nodes going down quickly to phase acrobatics. Once we have that, what I did was I filled in with all the life nodes that I needed. I went over here, grabbed this, the attack and cast speed, as well as these life nodes over here. Then I went towards the Templar area. This I only picked up very, very late, but I did pick up Amplify, Elementalist, these life nodes, and then since I pre-purchased the jewels for the build, I started picking up all the jewel nodes. First one, of course, was the Watcher's Eye, so I'll get that nice Mana Leech. But then started filling in with the rest of the jewels and the rest of the jewel nodes, and then filled up with all the you know, crit multi, lightning damage, doom cast, and written in blood, and yeah, crit multi, heartseeker, as well as these life nodes here with herbalism. I'll leave, of course, a link to this build, but honestly it's very, very simple. You go pretty much in a straight line, rushing phase acrobatics, and then filling up everything on the tree for yourselves. Starting with life for survivability, and then moving on with damage. As yeah, a quick word for the jewels, and also one quick word about leveling. If you feel like it, you can use Mind Over Matter real quickly, like rush it, and then unspec from Mind Over Matter later on. If you feel like, you know, survivability is a problem for you, while you're leveling up. But personally, I didn't find it to be a problem at all. Just rushed phase acrobatics and yeah, moved on from there as mentioned. For the jewels in the tree, yeah, so crit multi, max life. I exalted dexterity and intelligence. Not so amazing, unfortunately. Bunch of dexterity and intelligence in this build since we're moving all through the entirety of the tree. So we're getting a bunch of dexterity nodes, we're getting a bunch of intelligence nodes, and we have, you know, a few strength nodes. So you know, this type of thing that mostly comes off as a bit problematic in some builds. How do I get the intelligence for wrath or whatever? How do I get dexterity for faster attacks with my shield charge? All those things are kind of like non-null void. You'll be able to pick up, you know, whatever that you want. Just yeah, doesn't really matter. You're getting a bunch of stats. So anyways, exalted 15 dexterity on this jewel with crit multi with lightning skills, max life and area damage. I tried to pick up at least, you know, 2 damage and 1 maximum life roll on every one of these jewels, and that's pretty much what I did. Each one of these jewels cost about 1 exalt, and then I, for the most part, exalted a 4th stat. That was the dexterity intelligence, and then the dexterity, and here I exalted fire and cold. So basically these are the jewels I picked up for this build. Here I exalted attack and cast speed, which was very, very nice indeed. So I always kind of like pick, you know, I pick three mods, one life, 2 damage mods, and then I get increased attack speed. Of course, you know, crit multi, and then like triple crit multi. You know, you can get crit multi with lightning skills, crit multi with elemental skills, global crit multiplier, and increased maximum life would be the dream, but those are just like impossible to find, extremely expensive, and not that necessary, to be honest. Yeah, 2 damage mods, 1 life seems good, and then you can throw an exalt on the 3rd or the 4th stat, and hopefully you get lucky, or you can get something useless like intelligence or dexterity. I think I covered pretty much everything that has to do with the gear and the build in general. We're about, I don't know, 25 minutes into this video. Let's do a race course map. And yeah, double breaches, Zana level 8. And yeah, and Mysterious Invader is apparently the prophecy. So the build is very, very solid. The damage output is kind of ridiculous. Just want to get to the breaches. Here we go. Where are you? It's a bit too quick for the most part sometimes. So this is just like to show the build's potency. It's a tier 12 map, double breaches. Pretty sweet stuff. I'm not gonna complete this entire map. I'm just gonna let this breach run. But yeah, I mean, you get the idea, right? I personally like Flame Dash a lot. Having 2 different movement skill, like Shield Charge and Flame Dash, is in fact pretty good. Strongly recommend it. Up until now, I only ran with my GC Minor. I only ran, you know, Shield Charge. But when you have Flame Dash, you can really kind of oh, there's an abyss here. Ooh, didn't even see. Let's hope it's not over. Hey, maybe we get a leech fight? I don't know. Perhaps. Perhaps. Chances of leeches are actually quite low. Alright, so strongly recommending going with both movement skills, shield charge and you know, shield charge and flame dash, because you know you sometimes have all these platforms and you can just flame dash away. I also got the skin of the flame dash, the dragon flame dash skin, whatever. Yeah, so I mean, this is the build. I hope you guys liked it. This is the video. There's going to be a link in the description for the original forum thread which I picked up this build from. and there's gonna be, of course, you know, link for the build and whatever, all that kind of stuff. You can always come to my stream, exclamation profile for all my characters. There's also links straight to my profile. There's also an extension on the Twitch, so you could check out the gear as I stream live. You can check out all the gear, all the mods, everything that you need to know, all the information. If you have any questions, don't hesitate and just drop by the stream, say hello, feel free to ask anything. I usually answer everything. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Stormcall is a thing, really is. And I'll see you guys next time. Much love. Bye bye.